So there's something going on right now that I think needs to be addressed within the American government and the way the system is functioning. Now, a couple of days ago, there's a story going on about whether or not the United States government is going to have to do a shutdown because they couldn't approve the budget. I made a video about that. Several of you watched the video, left comments. Thank you. But then after that, there has been something happening that I want to get into today because I think it highlights some really important lessons for us, and I think we need to pay attention to them. So before I get into that, once again, I'm Elliott Connie, and here on the Therapist React series, I make videos and respond to what's going on in the news and in pop culture to highlight the psychological and psychology within those stories. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I want to say things that's going to improve our mental health, and that's what this series is all about. And what's happening now, I want to talk about allegiances, loyalties, and service. Now, the government, the Congress, the Senate, the executive branch, all those things are supposed to be in service of the American public. Now, if the United States government shuts down, that means millions of employees don't get paid. That means millions of employees for however long the shutdown lasts, are literally out of work and out of pay. Some of them, because they have jobs deemed so important, they have to go to work without pay. And it significantly impacts the way the country operates and runs. Significantly. The Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, worked with Democrats and moderate Republicans to work out a deal to keep the government open until November. And the response to him doing this by some of the extreme right within the Republican Party has been significant. So I want you to see the response.
Now to Capitol Hill, where House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is now battling to save his job, in jeopardy now after he helped keep the government running, averting a government shutdown. 126 Republicans joining Democrats in the House. Now some of those holdouts want Kevin McCarthy out. Rachel Scott on the Hill.
Do you think your job is in jeopardy?
Tonight, after cutting a deal with Democrats and a large number of moderate Republicans to prevent a government shutdown, Kevin McCarthy facing threats from members of his own party.
Recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr.
It is becoming increasingly clear who the Speaker of the House already works for, and it's not the Republican conference.
But he's not supposed to be working for the Republican conference. He's supposed to be working for the American people, as all of them are. And the American people need the government to be funded and not shut down. That's exactly his job. That's exactly their job. I think a lot of times we allow our allegiances and our loyalties to get in the way of what our actual job is. You know, this is really, really concerning because having the government function is very good for this country. It's very good for our society. I happen to have people in my family that work for the government. I happen to have people in my family that work at the post office. I have people in my family that work in the Social Security Department. I have people in my family. So I see firsthand not only the impact of what a shutdown would do, but simply the fear of it. Like, imagine if every single day there was a news story about your job potentially not paying you, what that would do to your lifestyle, what that would do to your life. I find it odd. Now I say they, but Republican Matt Gaetz from Florida has put forth articles to remove Senator McCarthy from his position as Speaker of the House, simply because he worked with Democrats, simply because he worked with people. Here's my biggest fear. We've allowed loyalties and allegiances to get in the way of our own logic. And we're treating these political parties as if they're sports teams. Like, I'm a fan of the New York Jets, so thus I can't like the New England Patriots. I'm a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders, so thus I can't like the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, we're not understanding that we're actually all Americans. I think the best thing we could do is stop referring to ourselves as GOP and Dems and Republicans and instead understand that we're Americans. Now, we may have different ideas on how the country should run or what should be best for the country, and that's okay. In fact, I think it's good for the country. But we also have to remember who we're in service of, and we're in service of the American people. We're in service of the democratic process. And that's exactly what happened here to keep the government funded and running. Now they're trying to punish Senator McCarthy for doing his job. I find it odd. And I really wish at some point, even the people within the country would realize like this has gotten out of hand. I mean, it's way past gotten out of hand, but this has gone crazy. We are no longer remembering what the point of all this is, and we're now trying to win as if we're rooting for two different sports teams. We should be rooting for the American people and holding the people in political office accountable to being in service of American people. Not of their own agendas, not of keeping their job, not of staying out of prison, but being in service of the American people. And I think that's exactly what happened here. Like I said, it's personal to me. There are people in my family that work for the government, but I think even bigger than that, we need to hold these people accountable to doing the actual job. So never let your allegiances override your logic. If you go to a sports game, you'll see things. I remember one time going to a Philadelphia Eagles versus Dallas Cowboy game in Dallas with my father-in-law. This was years and years ago, and he was walking with me out of the stadium. We were leaving, and people were running up to me, challenging me to a fight because I was wearing a green shirt, which is associated with Philadelphia Eagles. It just happened to be a green shirt. I'm not an Eagles fan. I was just taking my father-in-law because he loves the Cowboys. And I'm thinking in my head, like, in your normal life, you would never do that. You're like a dentist or a doctor or an accountant or a gas station attendant or cashier at a grocery store, whatever you are. But here, you've allowed your fandom of one sports team to override your logic. And I think that's what's happening politically. Like, we're allowing our fandom to override our logic and understanding what the job is that we're supposed to be holding these people accountable to be doing. And we need to not do that. We need to remember the purpose. We need to remember what we're actually doing. I hope we can do that and ignite our logic and remember the whole point of all of this. And Democrat, Republican, we are all Americans. That should come first above all of it. So thanks for watching this video. Love you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every single comment and I try to respond to every single comment. So please leave a comment below on what you think of this story and what you think of this video. I'd really appreciate it. I love y'all so much for supporting this channel. So for everybody who's already subscribed, thank you. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time we release a video on the Therapist React series, which is every day, Monday through Friday. Love y'all. Thanks for being here. See you in the next video.